An arts and crafts session took a terrifying turn for 23-year-old London-based Instagrammer Abby Quinn and her boyfriend, Strictly Come Dancing star AJ Pritchard, in January of 2021, leaving one of them hospitalized with severe burns. The pair were trying to turn a wine bottle into a vase using a piece of flaming rope while hanging out during a COVID-19 lockdown, but the bottle exploded in Quinn's face and started a fire in the apartment. AJ put the fire out with a wet towel and Quinn was rushed to the hospital, where she received treatment for third-degree burns to her face and body. Within a several-month period, she underwent multiple skin grafts and other reconstructive procedures in an attempt to mitigate the permanent damage. Quinn has since moved on with her life and from her relationship with AJ, and now includes burn survivor on her list of influencer credentials on her Instagram profile. Number 27. Matthew Mitchell. In June of 2019, the Utah Highway Patrol received a complaint about a man uploading dashcam footage of himself driving recklessly on YouTube. Going by the social media moniker Spastastic TV, the suspect was identified as 27-year-old Matthew Mitchell. In the video, the driver could be heard complaining about a Chevy Impala sedan that he was following closely behind in the passing lane along I-15 in Davis County. The agitated motorist sped up and passed the Impala on the right, swerving and nearly hitting the vehicle before commenting that he did it on purpose. Mitchell continued to drive erratically, speeding up and swerving around various other vehicles. Investigators discovered more than a dozen other videos that appeared to show Mitchell driving recklessly. He was arrested on a laundry list of citations and criminal charges, including reckless driving, speeding, following too closely, failure to stay in one lane, improper passing, failure to signal, reckless endangerment, careless driving, and more. Mitchell already had a history of being deemed at fault for car accidents and multiple past traffic violations, including talking on his cell phone while driving, failing to report an accident, and failing to remain stopped at a railroad crossing. The outcome of his reckless driving case is unclear. Number 26. Leonel Moreno. Venezuelan migrant Leonel Moreno entered the United States illegally at Eagle Pass, Texas with his wife and young daughter in April 2022. He was released from custody with a scheduled court date in November of that year, but never showed up for his hearing, prompting federal authorities to issue a warrant for his arrest. During his time on the run, Moreno became a prolific TikToker with 500,000 followers. In his videos, he shared tips on how to break into vacant homes and claim squatters' rights. Meanwhile, he was reportedly receiving a $350 weekly stipend from the US government and bragging about how he doesn't have to work. Despite his popularity, Moreno was denounced by many, including immigrants, who felt that he was exploiting their struggles to become an influencer. He was also accused of encouraging a stigma against immigrants, many of whom come to the US with plans to earn an honest living. The 27-year-old was finally captured in March of 2024 after nearly 2 years of evading the law. Following Moreno's arrest, his TikTok account was disabled. Using a new account, he made a series of bizarre, tearful videos claiming to be the victim of persecution. The outcome of his case remains to be seen. Number 25. Ryan Taylor. In late 2020, 27-year-old British Instagrammer Ryan Taylor posted videos of himself driving recklessly in Spain on social media. During one clip, he could be seen pushing a BMW into the Guadalete River in a designated conservation area with help from some friends. Taylor also posted footage of himself and his friends failing to wear seatbelts while performing dangerous stunts like riding on the hood of the car. Police in Marbella launched an investigation after removing the car from the river. They identified Taylor as the vehicle's owner after connecting him to the car through his social media content and proceeded to arrest him and 5 others in connection with the incident. The outcomes of their cases are unclear. Number 24. Dory Ian Thomas. Setting off fireworks inside a building is dangerous for obvious reasons, but that didn't stop one social media prankster from doing it. On the 4th of July in 2018, 24-year-old Dory Ian G. Thomas was accused of setting off fireworks inside a Dollar Tree store in Miami-Dade, Florida, while a friend filmed the stunt. By the time the fire department arrived at the store to extinguish the fireworks, Thomas and his friend had fled the scene in a car. Afterward, Thomas taunted law enforcement on social media by challenging the police to a game of hide-and-seek and bragging about the many years he spent running from the cops. He spent about a month on the run before being captured in Las Vegas on outstanding charges of first-degree arson and criminal mischief. During an interview with Local 10 News following his arrest, Thomas said he'd never put anyone in danger, that it's not his cup of tea to do so, but he's no stranger to pranking people, as his previous videos showed. Florida state records show that he's not currently serving prison time or on probation, leaving the outcome of his case unclear. Number 23. Johnson LaRose and Charlotte Fisher. What began as a seemingly fun YouTube prank for influencer couple Johnson LaRose and Charlotte Fisher took a troubling turn in early 2022 when they were arrested and criminally charged after sneaking into a Pennsylvania Target store. For police, the incident began when officers responded to a complaint about a tripped wire at the store in West Whiteland. They didn't find anyone inside, but the next day staff members called the police again and shared surveillance footage of two intruders wandering around the store for hours. Oddly, they didn't steal anything, but they were still not supposed to be there. Investigators eventually discovered that 25-year-old LaRose and 24-year-old Fisher had done a 24-hour overnight challenge at the store. A video posted to their social media accounts showed the pair building a fort to hide in as the closing time approached. According to police, the couple exited the store at around 3 a.m. despite their claim that they stayed all night, tripping the alarm as they left. They returned at around 8 a.m. to finish their video and were charged with third-degree criminal trespassing. LaRose and Fisher were released on $25,000 unsecured bail and were banned at Target stores throughout Pennsylvania. The situation could have had a much worse outcome, according to Detective Scott Pezick. Not only did the pair needlessly cause the store and law enforcement to use valuable resources, officers tend to be on high alert when they respond to burglary calls, heightening the chance of someone getting hurt. The outcomes of the couple's criminal cases are unclear. Number 22. Estria Maria Pereira and Miguel Ruiz. In April 2024, a Florida couple was accused of pointing guns at a daycare in Miami-Dade County as part of a social media stunt that landed them in hot water with the law. 50-year-old Estria Maria Pereira and her partner, 57-year-old Miguel Ruiz, would later claim that they were brandishing the gun as part of a photo shoot and that it had nothing to do with the daycare, but they admittedly used poor judgment and were extremely apologetic for their actions after posting bond and being released from jail. The incident was captured on surveillance footage, which showed Pereira and Ruiz removing the guns from a Corvette, one of which was loaded. A parent dialed 911 and reported that the pair were pointing the guns directly at the daycare, and the business immediately went into lockdown. Officers arrived to find Ruiz kneeling with the gun while Pereira snapped photos. They were each charged with felony counts of aggravated assault with a firearm and exhibiting a firearm near school property. Speaking with the media after their release from jail, both Pereira and Ruiz reassured the public that they would never hurt a child. Pereira expressed her belief that the situation was being blown out of proportion, despite acknowledging the severity of what she and Ruiz are accused of. The outcome of the case remains to be seen. Number 21. Malik Sanchez. Self-described incel Malik Sanchez, better known by his YouTube moniker Smooth Sanchez IRL, has been arrested more than once for his social media stunts. In October of 2020, the New York City resident broadcasted footage of himself climbing atop the Queensboro Bridge, which links the boroughs of Manhattan and Queens. Sanchez predicted that a helicopter would be required to rescue him, stating, "When I get to the top, there's no getting down." But he was wrong. Nearly an hour and a half into the live stream, a pair of officers climbed onto the bridge and helped him down. He was charged with reckless endangerment, criminal trespassing, and illegal possession of pepper spray. The following year, in February of 2021, the 20-year-old threatened to set off a bomb outside a restaurant in Manhattan's Flatiron district while pretending to be an Islamic extremist. One victim was so traumatized by the incident that she moved out of state afterward. This time, Sanchez was hit with federal charges which carried a maximum sentence of 5 years behind bars. He managed to avoid prison time by proving to the court that he was taking steps to turn his life around. After spending 23 days in jail and 9 months on house arrest, the judge sentenced him to time served plus 3 years of probation. While imposing the sentence, she issued a stern reminder that if Sanchez broke the conditions of his supervised release, he would go to prison. Number 20. Australia's best house party. During the summer of 2022, a group of Australian influencers drove across the country handing out alcohol and encouraging people in Aboriginal communities to binge drink. In an Instagram video, the group could be seen travelling by bus in search of Australia's best house party. They drove into the dry town of Coobapedy, where they fed locals beer through funnels and snorkeling gear. According to news reports, the influencers bought the bus specifically for the purpose of using it as a party vehicle. It was outfitted with a DJ booth, a bar, neon lights and other party fixtures, and was spray painted with the influencers' names. Some of the Aboriginal people in the footage could be seen spitting the alcohol out while others finished their drinks. Drinking is banned in Coobapedy and certain other designated dry zones to curb complex alcohol-related social problems, according to the Australian government. And while the influencers claimed they were searching for the country's best house party, their location tags suggested that they were traveling to lower-income areas, sparking fears that they were deliberately targeting vulnerable and at-risk groups of people. The posts were concerning enough for the authorities to launch an investigation into the influencers' activities, but it's unclear whether any criminal charges were ever pressed in connection with the findings. Number 19. Phony frozen arrest. As a frigid polar vortex swept across the American Midwest in early 2019, the McLean Police Department in Illinois jokingly announced the arrest of Elsa from Frozen on its social media page. The agency also shared a collection of photos that appeared to show Elsa being handcuffed and placed into a police car. Observant internet users were quick to point out that the photos came from a post made by a police department in South Carolina 4 years earlier, and they didn't hesitate to call the McLean Police Department out on the deceptive nature of its post. But at the end of the day, both police agencies would probably agree that the phony Elsa arrest was made in good fun, and that neither of them expected people to believe that the arrest was real. Number 18. John Robert Hill. Over a period spanning less than a year, started in 2017, aspiring rapper John Robert Hill amassed a 5+ million following. But he wasn't primarily known for his musical talent, according to news reports which described the then 21-year-old as a habitual criminal who broadcasted footage of his larceny, vandalism, and other illegal acts on Instagram under the nickname Boonk. After successfully carrying out each of his crimes, Hill recorded himself fleeing the scene while victoriously shouting his catchphrase, "Boonk gang, whole lot of gang shh." The young man and his friends recorded footage of themselves committing crimes in multiple cities, including New York, Florida, and California. They stole items like headphones, cell phones, electronics, food, and sneakers from multiple stores, including Family Dollar, Walgreens, and Popeyes. Before fleeing the scene, they trashed the businesses that they stole from. Hill has even run off on barbers and at least one tattoo artist after indulging in their services, and sadly he made a lot of money off his videos depicting criminal activity. By 2021, Hill had all but disappeared from social media. According to Rapzilla, he had a religious cellmate while serving jail time. It inspired him to turn over a new leaf and become a man of God himself, and apparently the rest was history. Number 17. Teenage Quartet's life-risking stunt. In April of 2024, police in San Francisco responded to a call about a group of 4 trespassers at a 43-story skyscraper in the city's financial district. Officers arrived to find 2 teenagers outside the building, including one who was carrying a crowbar. 2 of their friends had reportedly been seen carrying out a life-risking stunt, near the top of the tower. One of the two suspects captured by law enforcement were released to their parents, while the other was taken down to a police station for questioning. Speaking anonymously with the San Francisco Standard, one of the teens later said that he had been documenting himself climbing various buildings over the past year on social media. After pulling off this particular stunt, he hid in a room for an hour until he heard no sirens. As he tried taking the elevator back down to the first floor, however, he was swarmed by security guards. He declined to reveal how he got into the building and was eventually released into the custody of his parents. Number 16. Andre Burm. In the weeks leading up to the 2024 Champions League final, a Russian vlogger posted a video offering $330,000 to anyone who would disrupt the Real Madrid vs Borussia Dortmund game at Wembley Stadium in London. Shortly into the game, several unauthorized individuals ran across the field wearing t-shirts promoting the blogger known to his followers as Melstroy, and 53 of the people who interrupted the game or attempted to interrupt it were arrested. Melstroy, whose real name is Andre Burm, is no stranger to controversy. With an Instagram following of more than 3 million, he's best known for flaunting wads of cash and guns and showing off his lavish lifestyle. He has a prior conviction for violently abusing a model during a live stream, and he was permanently banned from YouTube due to his behavior, but continues to broadcast via other platforms. Number 15. Dubai cash throwing incident. In August of 2019, a man was arrested for throwing money around in public in Dubai as part of a social media stunt. Authorities launched an investigation after the controversial video appeared online. They were able to identify the suspect, who admitted that he committed the act in order to gain popularity online. Despite arresting the man, law enforcement declined to specify what specific law they believed he broke or what kind of currency he was accused of throwing into the air. The outcome of the case is unclear. Number 14. Unruly teens break into partially built arena. Late one night in March of 2024, a pair of unruly teens broke into the billion-dollar Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California while it was still under construction. The suspects entered the future home of the Clippers by climbing over a construction ladder, then proceeded to wander around the empty property while recording their antics for a TikTok video. They also shot some hoops, deployed a fire extinguisher, climbed onto the rafters and went on the roof, where they took some selfies to further promote themselves on social media. After the footage appeared online, authorities managed to identify the accused culprits and their parents. Speaking with ABC7, Inglewood Mayor James E. Butts vowed to increase security at the site during off hours amid the ongoing construction. It's unclear whether the intruders were charged with trespassing or any other crimes. Number 13. Diego Caua Oliveira Santos. A Brazilian influencer's desire to keep the attention of their followers took a tragic turn in April of 2024 when he fell into an enormous reservoir and drowned. 20-year-old Diego Caua Oliveira Santos, known to 128,000 fans as MC Daigon MD, was live streaming while out with friends in the state of Americana when he lost his footing and slipped into Lake Salto Grande. He had vowed to give his followers something live during the outing, and unfortunately he died while living up to that promise. Videos from just before the tragedy showed everyone having a good time, seemingly unaware of what was about to happen. Diego's friends tried to save him, but he was swept away while the camera was still rolling. His lifeless body was found a few hours later. Authorities classified his death as suspicious and launched an investigation which is ongoing according to the most recent available updates. Number 12. Yongning. In October of 2017, 26-year-old Chinese daredevil and former movie extra Yongning attempted to do pull-ups off the side of the 62-story Huayuan International Center in the city of Changsha. He was planning on proposing to his girlfriend soon, but when he never returned from his trip, the young woman alerted the authorities. She soon learned the horrifying truth that Yongning was never coming home. Yongning called himself China's first rooftopper. He became famous on the Chinese social media network Weibo. After his death, a relative, Feng Shengliang, told the South China Morning Post that he believed Yongning, was trying to win prize money in order to pay for his wedding and for his sick mother's medical bills. Sadly, he was no longer around to finance either of these things. Number 11. Remy Lucii. 30-year-old French photographer and Instagram star Remy Lucii, aka Remy Enigma, gained a lot of admiration and respect for his images and footage of skyscrapers and other tall structures around the world. But in order to capture this type of content, he had to scale these buildings, and it inevitably came with risks. During a visit to Hong Kong in late July of 2023, Lucii fell from the top of the 68-story, 721-foot-tall Tregunta Tower, bringing his celebrated career to an unexpected but not all too surprising end. The extreme daredevil somehow ended up trapped outside a penthouse apartment where he either lost his footing or got too tired to keep hanging on while he waited for help. He wasn't supposed to be there in the first place for obvious safety reasons. Lucii gained access to the building by telling a doorman he was there to visit someone on the 40th floor, which apparently wasn't true. After the tragedy, the person who lives in the unit that Lucii was claiming to visit clarified that they did not know him. From there, Lucii took an elevator to the 49th floor, then took the staircase to the top floor, where he pried open a door to the outside. After getting stuck, he knocked on a window to get the attention of a maid who was cleaning. She called the police, but by the time they arrived, Lucii had fallen to his death. Number 10. Jeff Witk. During the summer of 2020, Vlog Squad member Jeff Witk traveled to Provo, Utah, where he, fellow YouTuber David Dobrik, and a group of friends planned to film themselves performing a stunt with an excavator in Utah Lake. Assuming everything went according to plan, Dobrik would operate the excavator while swinging Witk and others around in a circle as they rode wakeboards and various other objects. But the plan changed at the last minute, according to Witk, who had later claimed that Dobrik wanted to swing people around while they hung from a rope in mid-air. During Wittek's turn, Dobrik noticed he was swinging his friend around too fast and abruptly slowed the machine down, causing Witk to slam into the side of the excavator. 2 years later, Witk sued Dobrik, claiming that he suffered serious injuries as a result of the accident. While the court documents did not go into specific detail about the nature of Wittek's injuries, he had previously claimed that his skull was shattered in 9 places and that he broke his foot and hip. He also claimed to suffer a torn leg ligament and a serious eye injury. Neither of the parties have said much about the lawsuit since it was filed, indicating that the case may be ongoing. Number 9. Larry Kona. While panhandling in Las Vegas in June of 2020, 55-year-old Larry Kona approached 28-year-old Keontae Jones and asked for money. Jones offered the homeless man $6 in exchange for attempting to do a backflip during a Facebook live broadcast. Kona could be seen doing several cartwheels before attempting the backflip and landing on his neck. According to law enforcement, Jones continued filming and told onlookers not to call for help while Kona lay unresponsive on a grassy median. Jones could even be heard laughing and joking about how Kona went to sleep, seemingly unaware of the seriousness of what had just happened. Someone in the crowd called for help and Kona was rushed to the hospital, where he succumbed to a spinal injury. 10 days later, a relative alerted the authorities to the incident and an investigation was launched. A few weeks later, Jones was arrested on 1 count of felony willful disregard of a person's safety. He pleaded not guilty, despite having a history of filming homeless people performing stunts for donations on social media, and was released pending the outcome of his charges. Jones defended his innocence, arguing that he didn't understand how Kona's death was his fault, while the court claimed that he had stopped people from calling for urgently needed help. Records show that he served some prison time after Kona's death, but the details of his conviction and sentence are unclear. Number 8. Aiden Ross. In early 2024, 19-year-old American influencer Aiden Ross was accused of offering to pay a fan in Port Moody, British Columbia, to drive their car into the ocean. Live-streamed footage of the stunt showed the Canadian follower talking with Ross at around 10:00 p.m, shortly before he got behind the wheel and stepped on the gas pedal. In the video, Ross could be heard instructing the young man to state his full name and that Ross was not responsible for anything that was about to happen. Luckily, the fan wasn't hurt during the stunt. After driving his car into the water, he climbed out of the vehicle and exited the water injury-free. Ross told the man that he would pay him as soon as he saw proof that a towing company was at the scene, but the police arrived first. After being tipped off to the incident by internet users who were watching the live stream, it's unclear whether Ross was criminally charged in connection with the case, but according to the most recent available updates, police were considering it and were urging anyone with more information to contact law enforcement. Number 7. Nathy Odinson. In early 2024, 33-year-old British daredevil Nathy Odinson unintentionally leapt to his death in Thailand while base jumping illegally off a 29-story building. Best known for his daring stunts on social media, he made the fateful leap in the coastal town of Pattaya. In a video captured by a friend, Odinson could be seen checking his equipment, counting down from 3 and taking the plunge. Just seconds later, the camera captured the sound of Odinson hitting a tree and slamming into the ground after his parachute failed to deploy. He was pronounced dead at the scene and law enforcement launched an investigation into the tragedy. Local security guard Kanet Chansong told the Daily Mirror that Odinson had jumped from the building several times before and that he and his friend knew that what they were doing wasn't allowed. Shortly after Odinson's death, news reports revealed that the police blamed the incident on a parachute malfunction, while the daredevil's brother, 39-year-old Ed Harrison, suspected a user error. Speaking with The Sun, Harrison said that any experienced skydiver could take one look at the photo of Odinson's gear and know that it was not rigged properly. He speculated that his younger brother was in a hurry, perhaps because Odinson was worried about someone finding the group on the building and stopping them from jumping. Number 6. Alex Choi. In June of 2024, prosecutors accused Los Angeles-based YouTuber Sukmin Choi of directing a stunt video that involved shooting fireworks at a Lamborghini from a helicopter, better known as Alex Choi. The 24-year-old posted an 11-minute video which showed 2 women shooting toward the sports car from inside the aircraft. Federal prosecutors described the video as a live-action version of a fictionalized video game scene. According to law enforcement, the footage was most likely recorded in June of 2023 in a federally owned part of San Bernardino County. Choi faces a charge of causing the placement of an explosive or incendiary device on an aircraft. He's also accused of failing to obtain the proper permits to film in the area where the video was recorded and traveling across state lines to obtain the fireworks in Nevada because they're illegal in California. By the time authorities announced Choi's arrest, the video in question had been removed from his social media platforms. He remains free on $50,000 bail as he awaits his arraignment, which is scheduled for July of 2024. Number 5. Sergei Kosenko. While living in Bali in 2020 and 2021, Russian national and social media daredevil Sergei Kosenko was accused of violating multiple Indonesian laws, leading to his eventual deportation from the country. The final straw came when he was filmed riding his motorcycle off an abandoned port and into the sea. Local residents and leaders alike were outraged by the stunt, prompting Kosenko to apologize for his actions. In a remorseful statement, he admitted that he was following a social media trend when he committed the thoughtless act. But by then, Kosenko had already worn out his welcome and the country's officials were ready for him to leave. Based on the motorcycle stunt alone, he was accused of committing numerous crimes including trespassing and environmental law violations. In addition to the motorcycle stunt, Kosenko was accused of hosting a party during COVID lockdown and investing in local businesses without the proper visa. Long story short, his apology fell on deaf ears and he was sent back to Russia. Number 4. Miles Routledge. As US forces prepared to withdraw from Afghanistan during the summer of 2021, British influencer Miles Routledge unwisely decided it was the perfect time for a leisurely visit to the country. Better known to his followers as Lord Miles, the young man barely escaped Afghanistan after arriving during the fall of Kabul and realizing that the situation was no joke. Despite this arguably terrifying experience, Routledge returned to Afghanistan in January of 2023. He was among 3 UK nationals who were infamously detained by the Taliban. The other 2 detainees, a medic and a hotel manager, received much more sympathy from the British public than Routledge, who had continuously treated his previous experience in Afghanistan like a joke, when the rest of the world regarded it as anything but. In late 2023, after being detained for the better part of 10 months, Routledge and his fellow detainees were finally released. He continued to reflect on his experiences in the country in a controversial fashion, posting videos that claimed to show him hanging out with members of the Taliban and even buying weapons from them. Routledge even touted the narrative that he lived a luxurious lifestyle while in an Afghan prison and that the Taliban loved him and thought he was funny. Whether or not he returns to Afghanistan for a third hurrah remains to be seen. Number 3. Ishasah. In early 2024, Taiwanese influencer Ishasah raised eyebrows for removing her red thong underwear while sitting on a display bed at an IKEA store in Taipei City. She then used the garment to tie her hair into a ponytail and asked her nearly 1 million followers if she looked good. Nobody seemed to witness the incident in real life, but hundreds of thousands of people watched the video on social media within a matter of days, and many disapproved of Ishasah's behavior. The audience was equally disapproving of another video which showed the influencer flashing the underwear while inside the store. This wasn't the first time that Ishasah, a former nurse turned TikTok superstar, shocked her followers with a racy video. In 2022, she posed in front of the Louvre Museum in Paris in a lacy see-through top, while many of her male fans responded with praise. Others found her conduct to be distasteful. The IKEA incident received even worse backlash, with a large number of commenters wondering who would do something like that in public and accusing Ishasah of being disrespectful. Today's topic was requested by Nikki123BXD. Don't Wake the Dead P Janky 9592 and Bettina Mitchell 3535. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Jimmy Donaldson. Better known as Mr. Beast. Popular prankster Jimmy Donaldson got a taste of his own medicine in 2023 when he fell victim to a revenge prank by a fellow YouTuber. Eric, whose real name is Eric Decker, targeted Donaldson in retaliation for a prank that Donaldson had played on him more than a year earlier. In the first gag, Donaldson persuaded one of Decker's producers to pretend that he was quitting his job with Decker and joining Donaldson's team. During the second prank, Decker convinced the police in Donaldson's North Carolina hometown to stage his arrest, even though he wasn't really under arrest. In a video, officers could be seen pulling Donaldson over in his Tesla. They initially told him they enacted the traffic stop due to his tinted windows, but then said that there was a warrant out for his arrest for communicating threats. Donaldson seemed amused at first, but he quickly got quiet and stopped speaking with the police after being placed in the back of a cruiser. He was then put in a holding cell for an extended time period with no food or water before he was allotted his one phone call. An officer dialed Decker's number and handed Donaldson the phone, at which point he finally realized he had been pranked. Donaldson said that he wondered if he was being pranked, but that he began to believe that he was really under arrest because it would have taken a lot of resources to pull off such an elaborate hoax. He seemed equally surprised and relieved to learn that he wasn't going to jail after all. Number 1. Ekaterina Denko. In early 2020, Russian blogger Ekaterina Denko celebrated her 29th birthday in style at a sauna and swimming pool complex in Moscow. In an attempt to impress guests with a dramatic visual effect, Ekaterina's husband, Valentin Denko, dumped 55 pounds of dry ice into the pool. Dry ice is frozen carbon dioxide. When mixed with water, it releases a misty vapor into the air. In a poorly ventilated space, it can quickly lead to dangerously elevated levels of carbon dioxide in the body. The immediate effects were disastrous. Unable to breathe, partygoers began fainting, with some suffering chemical burns. 2 people died at the scene, and Valentin Denko was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. Shortly after the tragedy, Ekaterina broke the devastating news to her million-plus Instagram followers, but she revealed limited details, noting that she had signed an agreement not to disclose any more information about the incident. Russian authorities launched a criminal investigation, but have remained tight-lipped about their findings. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have 1 million followers or $1 million, and why? Let us know in the comments section below.